Welcome, friends, to Choose, Sip, Repeat.
Friends, Romans, countrymen.
That's right. On today's episode, we will be speaking with a dear friend of mine. My husband wanted me to mention that he taught him how to hold a knife.
I did.
Yes. And that we have known each other for close to 20 years now?
Yeah, getting there. Met in 2005. I met you 3 times, actually. It was the 3rd time that you yelled at me, and so now we're friends.
We're friends. We've been friends for a long time. If you haven't figured out who we are speaking with today, we're speaking with Trevor Tack, the man that has been voted Tulsa's favorite chef. How many times?
They've been kind to me a couple times, a couple different publications.
Yes. So. His food is fantastic. I'm very lucky to call him a friend. He's traveled all over. Where has cooking taken you? Denver, Tulsa?
Denver, Tulsa. Like professionally cooked there, eaten lots and lots of places. Yeah. That's culinary tourism, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's very cool. I've not done that. I've been to Tulsa with any of my industry, I guess apart from Omaha when I first started. But so you've had the opportunity to travel.
Yeah, I've got to go on a lot of research trips. I think those are invaluable, really, if you're talking about wanting to see what other communities are doing and what other creatives are doing.
Oh yeah, so traveling just for work and like research and things of that nature. But you've actually cooked in other places as well. Yeah. Okay, well, I just want to jump right in here. We're going to start off with some questions just to get to know you better, and I'm going to pretend like I don't know the answers to them already.
All right.
So, is Tulsa your hometown?
Tulsa is not my hometown. Oklahoma is my home state, but I was born in Chickasha, Oklahoma, and then moved here in 2005 after college.
And where did you attend college?
OSU, Oklahoma State.
And major?
It was hotel and restaurant administration back then. Now it's a different major. They've switched to call it. I think it's called hospitality and tourism management, but it was more or less a business degree with an emphasis on hospitality.
Hospitality.
Yeah, but back then nobody wanted to cook. Back then everybody wanted to go. Like this was pre the food TV boom. So most of the people that were in the college at that point all wanted to work for Marriott or Hilton or on a cruise ship or something like that. So yeah, or there were several nutritionist people as well. But as far as like people that wanted to get in restaurants, there were few and far between.
Cruise ship ever entertain your thoughts or anything like that?
No, not really. I talked to a couple people there and they were like, no, dude, you're a galley slave. You barely see the sun. It's like if you're lucky, they'll have some like a bar for the employees down below deck. But most of them, you're just kind of.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in that whatsoever.
No, I don't necessarily even have much of an interest to go on a cruise, let alone work a cruise.
Same. Where was your first job in Tulsa?
The Chalkboard restaurant.
Yes, that's where we met.
Yeah, fun little aside. I was moving. I knew I was coming up to Tulsa, and I went to a going away party there, and I met one of the managers at the time, Shannon. And I was like, man, I sure would like to work in a restaurant like this someday. And she hounded the chef there, and even though I had no experience whatsoever, she finally got me an interview with him. And
that was Paul, yes?
Yep, that was Paulie.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was Paul, Chef Paul, my mentor, and he took a chance, and we ended up being very, very close.
Yes, was an amazing man. One of the best chefs I've ever worked under, for sure. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so you've been in this industry since 2005 then?
Yeah, I guess you could say that because I worked in restaurants in Stillwater, but that was college jobs. Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask you if you if you had ever worked in the restaurant industry at all in like Chickasha or Stillwater prior to Tulsa.
Stillwater I did. I worked at a barbecue restaurant called Cherokee Strip Barbecue. Then there was a brief stint at that restaurant where somebody had convinced the owner that to section off a piece of it and put like a fine dining concept in
a barbecue joint.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the guy, he was from Oklahoma, and he had been an instructor at the French Culinary Institute in New York City as well, but it was an interesting time to say the least.
If you're doing barbecue correctly, there's a lot of time and prep and knowledge that you have to have and if you're doing your own meats and everything like that. So I could see how your brain could trail off and wanting to do something a little bit more elevated because you're still putting all that time and energy into honing your craft. But
that was it was a good barbecue. That's for sure. We did tri-tip and we didn't do brisket. Well, that was now looking back, I didn't think anything of it then, but now I'm like, well, that's pretty novel to just in Oklahoma not to do brisket.
So would you say then that brisket here in Oklahoma is just as popular as like brisket in Texas?
Yeah. I mean, we're just as close to Texas barbecue as anything else. I mean, Oklahoma gets to have that distinction that we don't have to really adhere to any. We're not KC, we're not Texas, we're not Memphis, we're not, Carolina. Like it's just do whatever we want, I suppose.
Yeah. I always thought that when I moved here to Oklahoma that it was so interesting because I felt like we're not in a specific region. I feel like a lot of people consider us Southern, a lot of people consider us Southwest, a lot of people consider us Midwest.
We're an amalgam of all those things because it's not like we're definitely not the South. We're not the Southern state, although some people would probably wish they were, but they're not. And Southwest is a stretch. Like there's parts of the state that look very South. Like where I grew up in the Southwest part of the state, like I would consider that more Southwest, but it was just Oklahoma just kind of is what it is. It's a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll,
Okay, well, today's topic, we're going to be discussing the future of the food and beverage industry and its past and current struggles.
Okay.
And I thought that you would be really awesome to have on this particular episode because of the years of experience you have and specifically from a chef's perspective, because how long have you been an executive chef now?
Oh man, it's 2008. Really. That's when I got to start really leading kitchens. It was in 2008. So yeah, for quite a while. And, been lucky and fortunate enough to oversee some multi-unit operations as well. So the scope of what I've gotten to do in this particular town has been really interesting and unique, I think. Yeah.
So if you had to think back, like, I don't know, maybe like 2010.
Okay.
And think back of, travel back in time and think back of like the struggles of what you thought at the time were running a kitchen. How do those struggles then compare to the struggles of running a kitchen today?
I think the struggles are all the same. It's your perspective that changes a little bit. Back then, so like 2010, I remember at that point, where was I in 2010? It was like Stonehorse and Delisandro's time, somewhere in there. I don't know. But it was, your constant fight is always going to be your COGS, your fixed costs, your labor, or you always have your fixed costs, but your labor costs, your food costs. It's just back then things were less expensive, but you didn't have as much access to the same things that we have access to now. But as far as working with a lunatic fringe, that's always been the same. Cooks have always been a little on the outside of what people would consider the lines.
Yep, sure. I mean, yes, I think that's a standard, a good standard, I guess you could call it stereotype or whatever. I think there's some truth to that for sure. What about things of like sourcing?
Sourcing has changed immensely too, because there's a lot, like I said, the access to things have gotten better. I mean, so when social media, let's just start there, because that's really when things started to change. Like 2010 is a good starting point on that, because that's when we started to see people posting about what they were eating. The access to information became almost immediate when the smartphone was released.
Yeah,
that changed everything. Like almost as much as like what a food processor did for us in the kitchen. The smartphone gave right, wrong, or indifferent people access to information immediately in real time. And so as people started traveling, they started demanding more of their restaurants and even the town. Like, I mean, because I remember in 2008, in 2009, it was a struggle to get some pretty normal shit. Like
as far as product is concerned,
not even like crazy stuff, like just some normal shit that you wanted, like broccolini. Like, oh no, that's a special order. Broccolini. Yeah. Those are things that like shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? Like right. that was
Maybe that's where being in Oklahoma comes to play a little bit more. I wonder if like broccolini was a special order in New York City, for example.
No, of course not. You just have there's just more people doing it, more hands in the pot, so to speak. So there's more people selling food, more people eating food, more people selling the food to the people selling the food.
Right.
Just here that the bar was pretty low. Like it's been, I think, in my time being able to look back at it retrospectively, that it has been an amazing jump in Oklahoma's talent pool and in creativity and all of those things in the last 20 years. I mean,
well, speaking of talent, how is it different now as far as like finding help in the kitchen and labor and things of that nature today versus in 2010? Is it relatively the same?
Oh no, it's gotten more difficult. I mean, everything costs more, including the people. And I think that's a great thing, is that we are paying our people better now, and I'm a big champion of that. But the hard part is people, your average diner, don't understand what it costs to run a restaurant.
Right.
And so they see it as like, just raise your prices. It's really not that simple, because you'll price them out. It's the same people that say, just raise your price. I'm like, all right, well, that pork chop now costs $40.
Right.
And they're like, that's too expensive. You're too expensive a restaurant. Oh, you said you wanted me to raise my prices so I could pay my people a living wage. Now you don't want me to do that? Like, how do you want me to balance this?
Right.
And that's been really a very cool thing, that there's been this a reckoning and awakening in the industry to take care of us. Mental health is important. Not working us to death is important. Like, those kind of things are important, because that's one of the things that changed in 2010. 50, 60-hour weeks were light weeks. Those were just a week. Yeah. And that shouldn't.
Working doubles and triples was the norm.
I remember being at, recently, this was recently. I'm like, I'm tired of every time I walk in this building being here for 12 hours. Like, I don't want to do that anymore today.
Right.
Like, that's too much. I don't want to do that today and tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah.
So it's the nature of the job is a difficult one anyway. But as far as it's gone, like, people do deserve to get paid more. People do just deserve to not have to work two jobs to make ends meet. And that's one of the toughest things right now, is that there's that awakening, and now we're still trying to figure it out, whether it be through a service charge, whether it be through, some other means of income. It's really hard to make money in a restaurant these days.
Yes. And how was COVID how did that affect the running of a kitchen during COVID? And then also, what kind of lingering effects is it still impacting your day-to-day?
I can say for our business, doing it downtown still hasn't recovered from COVID. People.
Yeah, because a lot of people are working from home now, right?
A lot of people work from home. It just, it kind of, like, downtown's also kind of dried up a little bit, in the sense that, like, before, you had quite a few people, like, in those happy hours and those businesses populating like a neighborhood restaurant, a neighborhood bar. Now you don't see that as much. Like, it's just become increasingly more difficult to do business downtown.
What about residential? I feel like that's picked up downtown.
Yeah, but we're still, I mean, if you really get right down to it, we're still thousands and thousands of people away from being what's considered a thriving neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Like, the population density still isn't there. We're probably another 5-6 years off of that.
How's sourcing now? Has that gotten a lot better since the height of COVID?
Yeah. That was, those were unprecedented times, like everything from to-go boxes to alligator. I mean, it was like people stopped producing things, and that was and now then it's caught up. Like, I'm not really seeing much in the way of sourcing anymore, as far as being able to get things construction wise coming out of COVID. That was when I was involved in the Hemingway and we're building that, like, that became an issue. Yeah,
I do remember that big time. Yeah, because I was currently at Larder during that time, and it was the same constructional issues.
Weird shit like paint.
Yeah, we were on like an 8-week pause for brackets or something. Yeah, it was insane.
Crown molding. There was like the whole restaurant had crown molding in it, and there was like, I didn't realize how crown molding was made, but bottom line, the whole world was out except for this one dude in Arkansas that wouldn't sell us any.
Well, yeah, because he had fancier people that he was doing it to. Okay. What about as far as like the future? of the industry currently? I mean, we've been talking about the past and how it's, stayed the same and also evolved into something else in certain areas. Where, as far as currently right now, if you had to put your Miss Cleo hat on, where do you see the future of the industry going?
It's hard to buck the fast casual trend. I see a lot more counter service in our future, even when it comes to what you would consider nicer food. I think that's you can get a lot more done with less people by doing it in that model, but still serve the food you want to serve. There's actually a restaurant in Austin called Birdie's that is doing this right now. That it was one of Food and Wine's best restaurant. I think it's Food and Wine, but they're a counter service model. You walk in, you order your food, you sit down, and then the server will come by and like bring you your booze, bring you this, but they have like 30% less staff. So they're able to charge less than they would have to otherwise. And they can seat more people. They can serve more people this way.
Yeah. So your counter service style restaurant, as far as like labor is concerned and all of that, really is helping cutting corners.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, we're always been creatives in this business, but we've got to have to get really creative when it comes to being able to make the money we need to pay the people we need to pay.
Yeah. And
really pay rent
right.
and buy the food, which is 20% more than it was a year ago. I mean, it just is like global warming is not helping anything. Like our habits haven't changed as far as consumers, but the whole world is changing around it, and everybody just wants to bitch about it, but never has this, yeah, that's right.
Right.
There are a few people, yourself, myself, like we're like, we should eat less meat. Right. We should grow more stuff here.
Regenerative agriculture.
Yes.
Yeah.
But people are like, that's lame. I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
I just don't want my burger to be $20.
Yeah. So your projection would be that in order to keep the longevity of the industry, we just need to get creative.
Well, we have to get creative, but we have to longevity of the industry, longevity of us as a species is kind of the same thing. Not to get too deep on it, but like we've got to figure out a way that restaurants shouldn't have to operate in a false vacuum, right? Like we shouldn't have to operate as if the world isn't burning down around us. Like people want to come to us for this escape, and we like put on our happy masks and go on there. But it's really hard to do that when literally like everything is harder today than it was yesterday.
Right.
So I don't know if that gets easier or we get used to it, but that's what I see.
Yeah, that is I don't know how much I want to spend thinking about that. If I'm being completely honest with you,
it's like it'll keep you up at night. I mean, it's just because I love serving people. And that's the bottom line is that if you don't love to serve people, then this isn't for you.
Oh, for sure.
You don't have to love everyone you serve, but you have to love to serve people. And it's always how do we do it? How do we keep it up?
Right.
How do we? And that is the creative part. I don't know all the answers to how we do that. I know that the counter service model is a way to be able to do that. And I'm looking forward to exploring that in the future.
Sure.
But in this town, it's a little reluctant of change sometimes. So
yeah. What do you, as far as I always think that this is a fun question to ask or think about, to get on a lighter topic, what do you project any kind of food trends being like an ingredient having its moment?
Right now, caviar is having a moment. Oh, it's like it's so minimalism. It's all about like 2023 was all about maximalism, like ridiculous butter service, and they come out with a gallon of, but like just the theater pageantry, like it got like it went from one scantily clad Edison bulb in an uncomfortable steel seat at a brewery to these big plush chairs and just over the top
decadence.
Yeah, but it's the restaurant trends ebbs and flows. Caviar's having a moment right now. Those kind of things are having moments right now where it's just that's the trend, maximalism. Like it's kind of it's like we came out of the plague, and it's just like it was when we in the 1920s where people wanted to party.
Yeah, prohibition.
Yeah, people wanted to hang out. People wanted to. They weren't looking for. They didn't want to do that anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, like if you think about the years that we've spent, pretty much to ourselves and hiding almost. Yeah. Now that we're out, we want to partay, right?
Natural wines. Excuse me. That's another thing. Sorry, it's New Year's Day. And New Year's Eve was real strong, real hard in the paint.
What'd you eat last night?
What do we eat, man?
Yeah.
I made something so fancy. It's called Mississippi pot roast.
Ooh.
No, it's like a ranch packet and an au jus packet
Oh my
and
gosh,
chuck roast
I do.
and pepperoncini, and it's delicious. You just throw it in the crock pot. We didn't want to do anything that was like,
Well, I mean,
I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I wanted to sit in my jammies and
Yeah.
eat roast beef.
well,
with people.
that makes me think of something else. What do chefs eat when they're home and they've been cooking all day?
like raccoons.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, like one of the I like to have a lot of stuff around here. It's like you know, cured meats and cheeses and stuff, just stuff that you can eat pretty quick.
Yeah.
I like nice stuff. You know, I say that I'm a garbage human and I'll eat some garbage human-y stuff, but at the end of the day, I like food, good food. And so I'll keep that around.
Yeah. I like to I just like food.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
food.
Food.
Do you have your eye on any particular chef or restaurateur group or non?
Yeah. There's just, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because there's this restaurant. One of our friends is in Montreal was just in Montreal. I was trying to get him to go to this restaurant. It's called Foie Gras. It's like this not weird. It's just a kind of a fine dining diner, kind of like Oshaval is in Chicago.
Yeah.
But Oshaval group, I've always been really fun. It's Hog Salt, I think is the name of that collective, but they just do restaurants really well.
Yeah. No, that
Like-
place is amazing.
Yeah, and they've got everything that they touch is like, I just think it's so rad.
Yes. Oh, I could absolutely would love having something like that here in Tulsa.
Exactly.
That would be
No,
dope.
I would too. Maybe soon.
Maybe soon. I don't know. Well, do you have any professional goals since we're talking about it being kind of New Year's Eve, New Year's Day? What are you thinking?
Yeah, man, I want to bring cool stuff to this town still. Like, I'm not done. You know, your body gives out before your heart does, but that is in this industry. But I've been fortunate enough to have jobs where I wasn't chained to the stove, so I've still got a lot left in the tank. Then regarding that, like, I still want to keep opening cool stuff that adds to the fabric of this town. I want people to have spaces that they're proud of to go to and to show to people.
Yeah, I want you to do that too.
I'm trying.
Well, I feel like, I can't have this conversation with you without talking about
the fire.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Oh, it was such a heartbreaking day.
It was a shitty day for sure. I mean, I was out back that day. And for your listeners that don't know, we're talking about Lowood and Hodges Bend, two restaurants that I'm involved with, or was involved with. That group's no longer around, but I was doing a garden party out back. We had this, had some really cool Wagyu beef that I was doing. It was called a vacío, and it's like an Argentinian cut, and it had the flank steak, had the bavette, and had the skirt steak all on one piece. So it looked like a big triangle. But I was cooking those for a private party. And then about 5:15 or so, GM came out and said, "Trevor, the hood's on fire." So I walked in and I could see them moving the wood from the grill into the oven, which is pretty standard for something like that. So we were wood fired, but I could see the grates, where the Vena hood were glowing red. So I'm like, oh, there's probably a little grease fire up there. I was like, all right. I looked at the owner who was having dinner with his family, and I kind of pantomimed the hood's on fire and made a phone thing with my hand, and he called the fire department. They were there very quickly, but the Ansel blew, and I thought we got the grates down. I got the fire out where I thought it was, but it had started up top.
Oh my gosh.
And so by the time we saw it, it was crawling through that whole building. And so like we saw the fire probably, I mean, I'm going to guess like 30, 40 minutes before or after it started.
Oh my gosh.
Because it started somewhere up top. And so the hood, where it just was inside the hood, but in that building, there was a lot of voids because it was a 100-year-old building. So there was fire in the walls and fire under the floor that you couldn't see. So it bypassed all the security features of the sprinkler system. Didn't do anything because the fire wasn't visible. And so they just, it was just a difficult fire to fight. Like luckily everybody's out, got all their pets out, but the building was it was a pretty surreal scene. Like that started pouring rain, thunderstorm. They had 2 big trucks, or 3 big trucks rather, just dumping water, and the flames were 40 feet high off of the top of the building.
Yeah, I remember seeing it on the news. It was oh my gosh, it was madness. Devastating.
Yeah, and that was pretty surreal. Like it kind of went from, oh, we're going to be closed for a couple of days. Oh, we're going to be closed for a couple months. Oh, we're not opening again.
So there's no rebuild.
No, not in that space. No, the owner of that building, we're still kind of sifting through the ashes, so to speak. But no, we don't know what he wants to do, and so we disbanded it. Like it was called GB Provisions, and we just essentially did a payout to all of the investors. We're still kind of getting to that point where. But as far as Hodges and Lowood go, there's no real plans to rebuild right now.
Oh,
I know, but it's one of those deals where Hodges Bend, the name Hodges Bend was that area. Like
right.
That was, it's not as easy just to
I get it
somewhere in town.
It just was like both those places were absolutely beautiful. Hodges was around a lot longer than Lowood, so I had an opportunity to obviously frequent that a lot more and was absolutely one of my most favorite spaces all of Tulsa.
Before I started working for that group, I mean, but that's the thing though. Like we're not like Noah and I, we work really, really well together when it comes to being in line with what it means to serve people, like what our vision of hospitality looks like. And so we'll get to do that again soon.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what you guys do. Are you capable of giving me any insight?
We've got some, I know the rumor mill is circulating, so maybe in the coming weeks we'll be able to talk about it a little more. We can do a little addendum here, but no, we're gonna be doing we've got some projects lined up that we'll be working on very quickly.
That is very exciting.
To fill the holes that we feel like are in the dining scene here. I don't know. I think there's big holes in the dining scene now without Lowood and Hodges being around.
Oh, I could totally 100% agree with that. Well, in the meantime of these future projects, where can people go and have your touches on food? Where can I go and have a Trevor Tack experience?
I still do that. Most of the restaurants that I've opened in this town are still open. Sans the first one that I did.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah, especially so. My touches are still around the town. But currently, Vintage, we're doing a great brunch there, and we have a great little bar food program there that leans into some Spanish roots, because I think it's just a fun little way to eat and drink. But that, and then we have the Topeka cafes. But as far as that goes, like Saturn Room doesn't serve you food, just great drinks.
Right. Well, then I guess that just makes me even more excited to potentially venture and try all of the new concepts that you hope. Oh
yeah, we got great ideas, and coming up. I'm really excited. All the stuff that we're doing now, I'll tell you, we were going to do anyway. It's just the timeline got pushed up. Lowood was one of those places, speaking of the pandemic earlier, that got hit really hard by it. Lowood and Hodges both.
Lowood even shut down for a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah. It's really hard. Like that kind of food doesn't really translate into to-go programs.
Yeah.
That's not what it's made for. And so that was, we were pulling out of it. Like we had just gotten done implementing this new software. Like it's a cost control software, but man, we were so close to just nailing down everything we wanted to do at Lowood. I'm excited for the future, but it also pisses me off that we did all that work, but we were almost there.
Yeah.
We were almost there.
Well, I'm really excited. Noah, prior to you joining the team, was able to create some really amazing spaces, but I know what you're capable of. I've known you for a long time and seen a lot of your work. So having the two of you together working on a space or spaces from the ground up going, I am really excited to see what you all come up with together, because I think it could be something really special.
I think it'll be special. I think it'll be something that you'll be, as a Tulsa, very proud to walk into.
Yes, I'm excited. Okay, so I told you when we were going to do this that I wanted you to come prepared with like a pro tip.
Yes.
So I just think it would be fun on each episode to have the guest kind of just give you know, because I guess my hope with this podcast is that the listening spectrum will be wide, right? We'll have lifers such as yourself, but then also potentially maybe people who just really enjoy food and are eager to learn more. So as a professional, somebody who's been in the industry for a long time, what is your pro tip? My pro tip, I got a few pro tips, you know, don't forego the shallot. Shallot's an amazing, I mean, I put onions in everything, but if I can use shallots, then I usually find a way to use them. But one of my favorite things to do is braise meat. My lovely fiance can attest to that. She loves that very much. And so I end up cooking a lot of it. But one of my pro tips for that is before you put your braise into an oven, if you're say you're doing short ribs, make sure that your stock and wine is boiling before you put it in there. It'll cut cooking time down quite a bit. Oh, well, that's honestly, it's going to maybe a little embarrassing, but I didn't know that. I mean, it's just something you figure out along the way. Like it really does. Like when you build it, if you're building your braise, you have your liquid, if you can bring it up to a boil before you put it in the oven, it cooks so much better. Okay. So I always take my meat, I brown it on the edges, right? But then I just, in the same pan, will pour the liquid on top and then shove it in the oven. So if I had to, boil. So you just put another sauce pot, bring your liquid. Well, no, I'll just bring it up. I do the same thing, but it just that pot. If you're going to pull your meat back into it, like let's just say we're doing short ribs for that. You take the short ribs out, add your vegetables, tomato paste, whatever you want, deglaze it, but just bring that up to a boil before you put it in the oven and before you put your meat back in it. You can put the meat in there and bring it up to a boil, just to make sure that it comes up to temp, because think about how much energy it takes to get that liquid up to the temperature of the oven that you need it to get to. So seems like such a simple thing, but I'm serious. I did not know that. Just I never. I learned that. Honestly, probably in the Soche days when we were cooking a lot of short ribs. Soche. Yeah. Jazz Cafe. What? Man, I'll tell you what, though. I've looked at some menus from that. I swear to God, we didn't know enough to be scared of anything. I mean, it was great. Yeah, we were doing some fun food. A cool little spot. I loved it. I mean, maybe if social media was around, that place would have been a phenomenon. Who knows? It would have been different. It would have been so different. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Soche would have been so different. And I also think Continental would have been so different. Continental would have hit. Yeah, Continental would have hit for sure. Totally. Continental was a bar by McNally's, but it was a freaking cocktail bar. God, I hadn't thought about Continental. It was great. I loved it. I ran into Tony not too long ago and told him that was one of my favorite places one of the places that I wish was still around. Yeah, and Tiny's. Yeah, Tiny. Yeah. That was honestly going to be one of my questions is what would you, like past and present, what is like your favorite place to go outside of any of like, obviously places that you're attached to? Bar or restaurant? Let's do both. Bar wise, I either like my bars like really shitty, right, dive bars, or really nice, right? And so honestly, the bar that I'm kind of crushing on right now just opened is Tina's. I haven't been yet. It's cute. They do a really good job. Trey and I are going to have a date night soon. I think we'll hit that up. It's very, very focused small menu, but I hear the burger is lights out of this world, and just a little smash burger, a little bar burger. But it's a simple concept, but speaking of trends, that's a good solid trend right now. Just to have a bar that doesn't necessarily have a theme. You know, it's not like, oh, this is a bespoke cocktail bar, or it's just a neighborhood bar that's got good food and drink. And to that token, the bar across the street, Mercury, is one of my favorite places to go. Right. And it is the epitome of a dive bar. Yeah, the Merc is great. Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Food wise, I love Bohemia. I love going in there. I just like all the people there, and I like their pizza. I think it's good. Yeah, I think it's good. When then Noche has been a new one that's becoming a favorite, and then Tortilla is one of my faves. Tortilla is great. Yeah, they do a great job. They do a great job there, and then I also like any place I can get tacos or pho. Anywhere you can get tacos or pho. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Vivian, my daughter, she turns 11 tomorrow. That's so nice. And that is what she has asked for her birthday dinner is pho. Are you going to take her, or is Trey going to make it? No. We're going to go. We're going to go to Funny. That's where we'll probably go. We either go to Funny or Feta Cow usually. Are the two places. Kai downtown does a great job too. Yes, I've heard great things. Kai's good. I like Kai. Vivian is just partial to Funny. Yeah. So we'll go there, and she wants to have a boba too for her. Get it, girl. I know.
Good.
I know. And then for her breakfast of choice for her birthday, she has chosen eggs Benedict. She is so ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I have some cool ham here that I might give you before you leave.
We have some at the house too.
Cool, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, she is a product of her father for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, that's really all I had.
Well, thank you. This has been fun. I appreciate you coming by and doing this. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I enjoyed it too. And maybe next time we'll have a cocktail or two, but
I need to dry out.
This is post New Year's Eve recording, so I think we're both okay with not having a beverage.
We can catch up in a couple of weeks and we can tell you about the projects we're working on.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Maybe having you and Noah both on, that would be dope.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd love that.
Have to coordinate with John on getting another mic.
Yes,
because I don't know how to do that.
Oh, he could just sit on my lap.
That would be even better.
He's too big. I'd have to sit on his lap.
Yeah, you might have to be the spoon in that relationship.
I'm a little spoon.
That's okay though. All right. Well, this has been fun.
Awesome.